Well, it's 4:14 on the 26th of January. This will be the start of week 4. Class doesn't start for 15 minutes, so if you're watching the recording, fast forward to 4:30 or about 15 minutes into this recording. I'll double check everything's in order. I'll double check the recording is, yep, it's in progress. Today we're going to cover, well, first I'm going to cover some review. There was only one perfect homework submittal from week number 3, and lots of different problems, but probably the most common problem was the tangent to tangent object snap. How to get this line from the end of this 20 unit line to a tangent point on what started out as a circle here. And then once you got that tangent to tangent, or let's see, admit coming on. Hey, Ty. Ty, I think you got a hot mic. If
I do.
not a problem, but just for the sake of the recording, I'm giving a preview here. Another problem that where students had the tangent to tangent issue was on this exercise number 28. So I think at this, I want to go over one or both of these 2 problems. Let me get them closer together here before we start on new material for week number 4. Once we get into the week number 4 new material, we'll cover the Polygon command, capable of making triangles, squares, pentagons, hexagons. I think a 7-side is a heptagon, octagons. Probably the most common use of the Polygon command is making a hexagon for bolts and nuts, or socket-headed cap screws. As I recall, they're pretty common in Navy ships. We'll also cover the array command, especially the polar array. That's where you can make copies all the way around a circle of the bolt heads or ceiling fan blades or chairs of a Ferris wheel, which adds a little complexity. But we might touch on rectangular. That's kind of just follow the directions. How many columns, how many rows, what's the space between columns, what's the space between rows, how many in each row, how many in each column. No, I guess anyway, and then anyway, probably should teach this explode command immediately after, well, it is after the array command. One of the recent AutoCADs made the array command so that it's a unique object, like a circle, arc, or line. An array is a unique object, very, very complicated object. But if you're going to change the number of objects in an array, like here we got 8 bolts, you want to change it to 10, it's a good thing that array is a unique editable object. But if you decide you want to delete one or trim a piece of all of them, then You might want to explode that array, and then it'll blast into a gazillion pieces. You know, it'll probably be, it might be, you know, roughly 8 times the file size of an array. Since an array takes 1 bolt and makes a ink blot of it, you know, a phantom copy of it, which is extremely lightweight. Just the file just includes the XYZ of each of the copies, the phantom ink copies. Anyway, next page will be the ceiling fans. Oh, nope, bottom of the page is a ceiling fan. We'll open up a homework we did. I just noticed there's, okay, I guess the colors is the stuff we're creating on the black original stuff. But we'll, you know, make a 3 or a 5 bladed ceiling fan using the array command. Then we'll get into the offset command, which is making parallel copies of lines or arcs or circles. You'll see it for today's lesson, it's not much more than the copy command, because you can just copy things straight to the right, straight up and down. But hopefully I'll remember to demonstrate if you rotate this little condo floor plan, the offset command will make copies, parallel copies of diagonal lines, you know, which is very time consuming, using, you know, drawing some construction lines and using object snaps and, you know, copying it along a perpendicular line. We'll also cover the stretch command, which is a way that you can take any assembly and kind of draw a crossing window around the stuff you want to stretch, right or left in this case. And we'll stretch the, I think it's 3 feet. You know, from this view to this view, we add 3 feet to the bathroom. Doesn't really show very well. We'll add 5 feet along the bottom of the floor plan by grabbing hold of everything that we want to move with a crossing window. The crossing window will turn in this case, the vertical lines into rubber bands, and we can stretch the entire floor plan up or down. Make some furniture using the stretch, you know, copying the first and stretching the copies the right amount. Windows, the door is a little tricky. I think I'll have to show the Benjamin is coming with us. I'll have to take time and show you how to make the door. My handout's not very clear on that. Ty, Benjamin, you got anything you want to cover from past lessons before we get underway with class number 4?
You're not recording, are you still?
Yes, I am. I'm afraid if I pause the recorder, I'll forget to turn it back on like I did last week. So.
Did you get my last email where I sent the number 67? That one gave me a run for my money.
You mind if I open up your recent submittal, Ty?
That's fine.
Okay, open go to week 3 and Ty or Yvette. Right. This is the most recent I filed for you.
Okay, I sent you an email Monday morning that had number 67 on it, because that one I was still having trouble with.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how it didn't get into the TIE
That's fine.
file.
That's fine.
Michael's coming aboard. Good. Let me double check there. How did I overlook that?
Would it be the top one?
I doubt it. The top one, I try to
Oh, okay.
file the way the student sent the original version
Right,
that came from the student.
right.
Let me make a little circle star note here, and I'll find your email from Ty
It's
with
be,
60.
yeah, it'll be under the IVET from the work email.
Okay,
I've been sending it since I'm using their AutoCAD.
good. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't
No,
know
you're
why.
fine. You're fine. Though the tangent was I was really having problems with. It seemed like it didn't want to line up the way it was supposed to, and I mean I wasn't trying to give up, but I was getting a little frustrated.
I know the feeling. When we start the class at 4:30, here's 67 fully done,
Okay.
and we'll start with this much guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
This is 50 units down and 30 across and half of one set. Yeah. Anyway, I'll finish it up from here, showing the tangent to tangent
Okay.
process.
Okay.
Sir, not to interrupt, I know 67 gave me a hard time too. And I think one of the biggest disconnects I'm seeing is with the book. Nothing against the book, but just some of the drawings are so small. So take that that circle or that little bump on the big circle there.
Right.
Looking at the book, it looked like the center of that aligned with the center of the big circle and the two outer circles there. So I was basing my center point off a line through that, and that
Right.
totally messed up my because when I took a 14 up, the center was off, and then my tangent points were off. Once I saw yours that you put out and went back and reworked it, it came out perfectly. So I think that's one big problem I'm having. Just some of the drawings in the book are a little hard to dimension.
I feel your pain. Yeah, I've been in, when I first got this book, I was in touch with the author and they stopped replying to me. Maybe because I was criticizing his book too much. But in this case, this problem number 67 has, well, let me see if I can open up probably not worth it. The short answer is this little keyway here thing is located two ways, with the 14 and the 20 dimensions, and also a angle.
Yeah, so I tried several different ways. I guess the problem I was having was getting the so you draw the circle, but then you got to get the quadrant lines on the side. So getting those to line up at the right angle was a hard point in time. And so once you mentioned going back using the tangent function, that helped out too. But I just looking at the book, I thought the center of the circle was supposed to be matched up with the center of the circle up top. They look like they're in a line. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just have bad eyes, But if you look at your when I saw your drawing, they're slightly offset, So I don't know. That was an issue for me because I know on my homework you dinged me because mine wasn't exactly 14 up; it was 12. That's because I tried to line the center of the circle up with the other circle. That's
I understand. Maybe I ought to emphasize the book errata sheet or errata sheet.
And I have turned to that, and that is helpful. But maybe also I need to just be better in reaching out when I have questions. That might be another fault on my part. I could email you these things.
Sure. Reach out, all you want. I can't promise to help you as quick as you might like, but you know, I'll get to you. Yeah, this I put this latest revision, version 16H, in the assignment. I'll email it if you want. But every time I find another glitch, and I'll have to admit, you students have been finding a couple for me, but every time another one comes up, I add it in red, you know, to kind of alert that, hey, that's a new clarification or typo. I just noticed 73, I got the word center. I'll have to get an old revision and find out what happened there. Always something. I'll make a note of that too. Errata sheet number 73. And it's almost 4:30. We got 7 participants, me and 6 students. I expect we'll get some more students. But yeah, I want to start off. Here comes the 7th, Christina, coming aboard. I thought I had this rigged so that I don't have to, you know, admit you. You can help yourself to join any time. But, still got a lot to learn about this Zoom stuff. Anyway, you know, give a few more minutes for latecomers to arrive, and I'll show you the tangent OSNAP procedure, because a few students had problems with that, with 67 and 28, possibly 43. Which one is that? Move myself out of the way here. All right, come. Oh, that's right. I didn't. 43 we already did. So it's I took it off of the assignment for week number 4, since we'd already done it. And then I believe that that football kind of looking thing with, you know, a bunch of holes and circles had the tangent to tangent. Well, let me get underway, and I hope there's still some more coming aboard. But getting back to some review, and this is more I think of it, every class, this is a concept that students have trouble grasping, and you know, I need to find a clear, easy to remember technique to do it. Maybe I got it right now, but I've been whipping on you to have Burgener's 5 favorite OSNAPs on at all times. You know, endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, and intersection. But on occasion, you need to draw perpendicular, tangent, or nearest. And I've been whipping on you to use an object snap override for these. And an override is only good for a single point. It won't work for both points. You got to use it for a single point and then repeat it again for the second single point. Anyway, I'm going to suggest you delete everything except tangent and possibly endpoint. Tangent and endpoint, and that seems to be pretty well with what we've covered so far. But look, covering these dimensions, like this 20 dimension is this line, this 14, let me hit escape, this 14 is this line. So I got a bunch of guidelines here. This is half of the 60 off of the vertical. So I got a couple of objects that I'm gonna mirror up and mirror across. But most of the objects are some pieces I'm going to trim. Now that I think of it, we're going to trim a piece of this circle out too. So again, with CAD, it's so easy to erase stuff. Don't think drawing guidelines is a waste of time because you got to go back and erase it. You know, that's the 1970s mentality back when you had to erase pencil lines. People even had an electric eraser, like a little Dremel tool, to erase a lot of stuff. Anyway, let me start. I think Benjamin, I think you mentioned the circles. You did get it figured out, but start with this being a 6-unit radius circle. Now these lines are not off of the quadrant, they're tangent to the exact same circle that would be in the middle here. So let's put a circle at the crossing of those guidelines and the exact same circle in the middle, and then tangent to tangent, tangent to tangent, like a fan belt going between the two circles. We'll start with circle radius, oh snap there, and type 6, and we can copy it from there to there. Let me show you that. I don't know if it's any quicker than just simply drawing another one, but we'll make a copy of it, hit enter. Now we want to go from tangent to tangent, not quadrant. Quadrant is this 3 o'clock, 9, 12, and 6. We want to go tangent to tangent, and it's at a weird angle. Again, the textbook dimensions stuff multiple times, with linear dimensions as well as angular dimensions, and they got the dimensioning rigged so it rounds off to the nearest unit. Well, if the angle just happens to be 36.2, the book might say it's 36, and that'll make a difference if you're programming a robot to cut these things out. Anyway, to get tangent to tangent here, and I'll do a tangent from this line to this line. Maybe students ought to temporarily turn off all of these. I could go check 5 times, but it's a little bit quicker to come down here to the dialog box for running object snaps. Instead of checking them here, just click clear all and set certainly tangent. And just a few minutes ago, I was practicing endpoint is beneficial with few exceptions, and I haven't figured out why there are exceptions. But for doing these tangent to tangents, have endpoint and tangent running instead of Burgener's 5 favorite. Now check it out. We'll launch line. We'll have a tentative tangent here. I think they call it deferred. Yeah, deferred tangent. And there's a second point. So there's our line to line. Now we can mirror this across using these 2 center points as a mirror line, but it's probably just as quick to repeat the process again. All that's left is erase and trim away the garbage. Erase, probably erase those guidelines and trim, enter so everything's a cutting edge. Oh, forgot one. And invoke the erase option, or enter, get back to command prompt and invoke the erase command. So that's all there is to that keyway. And again, by having tangent the isolated, possibly the only object snap running, you can do that tangent to tangent. Endpoint wasn't needed for drawing the sides of this keyway. However, drawing a line from this endpoint here to tangent seems to be benefit from having endpoint as well as tangent running. So while we got the unusual running object snaps set, I'll click line O snap at the endpoint, taking advantage of the running endpoint O snap, and rest on the tangent of this circle. Click, enter, trim away garbage, enter so everything's a cutting edge. Now let's, I think I can delete all the guidelines. Nuts, what happened? I hope I didn't delete too many of them. We still need this guideline for this little notch at the bottom. You know, this little notch right here. We can get most of the drawing simply by mirroring this, 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 and this, and this. Mirroring it up, then selecting them all and mirroring across. So I'll launch the mirror command, select everything. Should have started on the right and ended on the left, so I'd have gotten this guy at the same time. Enter. Ah, check it out. I forgot to reset Burgener's 5 favorite O snaps. All I got is endpoint and quadrant, although this point is good. Let me go back and reset Burgener's 5 favorite again. We'll delete all and check the 5 again. Why? Gotta hit perfectly dead center to get those checked. Again, ed, mid, center, quadrant, and intersection. Now we're still in the mirror command. I'll just O snap at the quadrant and polar right and left. I could have O snapped at this endpoint and quadrant, but eventually I got to get back to the 5 most commonly used object snaps. Should have shift clicked to remove this vertical guideline out of my selection set. I'll answer no, or I don't want to delete the originals. A little bit of rework because I forgot to delete that line out. Mirror again. Great big crossing window, enter. 2 quadrants right there. And let's see, I think this is 60 across. I don't have to do the arithmetic, you know, divide by 2 to calculate that as 30. I can just make the line 60, enter, and move it from its midpoint to the end point. And the 5 common O snaps take over. Erase some garbage. Okay, not reading the command prompt when I should. And trim some garbage. Everything's a cutting edge. And that's all there is to it. Let me also show you this number 28. I think with guidelines, you can come up with this much of this, I don't know, thermostat housing, whatever it is. You know, I don't have all the guidelines necessary. A couple of you had the bottom of this thing in the wrong place. And I think that was just too hastily working when you didn't draw a guideline from dead center of the top circle straight down and use the bottom of that guideline as the Y coordinate for the bottom of the object. Let's go back and reset our, keep them turned on, reset them to the end and tangent, or in this case, tangent alone will work. Okay, let's do it with tangent alone, because we're going from circle to circle, not the end of a line to a circle. No need for endpoint. Launch the line command, deferred tangent up there to there, enter. We could mirror this new line across the center lines to get down here, and then mirror them both across a vertical center line to get all 4. But just for repetition, I'll launch the line command again. Click, click, enter, enter, click, click, enter, enter, click, click, enter. Now trim and erase. Trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge. planning ahead so I don't have to erase anything except, whoops, except this vertical line there. And erase the vertical line there. All right. Erase. Finally registered. Now, again, before I forget and get in trouble and do some sloppy work, let me reset the 5 favorites again. And continue, go to the next problem. You know, a couple students, instead of going tangent, tangent, they put a fillet between the circles. And I might not have noticed if you for the rate or if you used for the fillet something like 999 units. So the circle, it'll almost be a straight line because the circle is so big. Any question about tangent to tangent object snaps? Again, think of fan belts. And when you come up with a tangent, you know, deselect, oh, I left tangent running for some reason there. You'll have tangent alone running. If you happen to have a line that goes from an endpoint to a circle or arc, check endpoint as well. And that'll eliminate the need for typing in an object snap override. If you're quick with a keyboard, you can hold the shift button and right click and select the one-time use only OSNAP override. I'm sorry, if you're quick with a typewriter, type the override like NEA for near. All right, what happened? Somehow I got into dimensioning. Line, NEA for near. Say I want to make a crude note here. Now it's only good for 1 point. We're back to Burgener's 5 favorite O snaps again. Okay, come on out and put our text there like a jury-rigged leader. Another way that came along recently, I keep forgetting to learn students about it, is to simply right-click, shift, right. Oh, I got that right-click timer on. Might be that way. We'll start at a line and then right-click. Here's snap overrides. I can go to perpendicular, parallel, tangent, quadrant. Let's go to a perpendicular point. Say perpendicular to this circle. There's only 1 point perpendicular, so doesn't matter where on the circle you select it, but that for that point right there, you can set a 90-degree carpenter square. It struck it at a perfect 90 degrees. Ready, move on. I thought I had the handouts open. Rats, must have accidentally closed them. No, I don't want that one. That one's. Up. Okay, let me go to the folders for each class. There we are. Okay. First on today's new material is the Polygon command. You start a brand new drawing, click the new icon or click the start tab and select AutoCAD.dwt as the stripped down, no thrills, minimal file size template. And as usual, it insists on turning on some that I got no use for. I got polar tracking set at 45. I got object snap set for the 5 favorites again. Now polygons form triangles, squares, pentagon, hexagon, heptagons, octagons. I think by far the most popular use in machinery and shipbuilding is a hexagon for nuts and bolts and socket-headed cap screws. My advice is to start with a circle, and that way you can O-snap to its center and to its quadrant to create one of these 5, 6, 7-sided polygons. So let's place a circle where our nut bolt or socket-headed cap screw would be. These are all dimensioned with radii. I don't know what I was thinking there. Maybe because the polygon command asks for radius instead of diameter. We'll select center radius. We'll make a 3-unit circle. We'll make a 4-unit circle, and we'll make a 5-unit circle. Okay, the first one here, notice the triangle is outside the circle. So when we get to it, we want to select circumscribed about the circle, not inscribed. Inscribed means the polygon is inside the circle. The polygon command is under the rectangle command. Some of you might have played with the rectangle command before. I don't think I've officially taught it yet. But, click on the polygon command. Follow the instructions. Command prompt says how many sides you want. Well, for this first one, we want 3. So answer the question with 3. Next, it says specify the center. There's one problem in the book where you need to use the edge command. I think it's kind of like a wing nut. Very unusual. Again, specify the center of the polygon. Take advantage of the 5 popular O-snaps. There's where I want the hexagon or the triangle to begin. Now it asks, well, hey, do you want it to be inscribed in the circle or circumscribed about the circle? Well, these first 3 are circumscribed about the circle. So click on circumscribed about the circle, or right click and select circumscribed about the circle, or type C enter for circumscribed about. And come on in. Your choices are generally straight up, down, or to the side. In other, your choices are one of the quadrants. So going straight down puts it in the shape of the handout. That's all there is. Hit enter to bring the command in. We want a pentagon. We'll answer this question again. Enter number of sides. I want 5 and hit enter. Specify the center. Hover over the circumference. Select the center. You want it inscribed or circumscribed. I'll right click and for these first 3 and click circumscribed. By any of the ways AutoCAD will allow you to select an option. Again, we got up, down, right, or left quadrants. I believe that to match the handout, they have a flat across the bottom. We want to O-snap at the bottom quadrant. Enter again, or space bar. Enter the number of sides. This will be a hexagon. The answer to that was 6. Enter. You hover a second, click. Circumscribed by any of those option methods. There you go. Now the other 3 are exactly the same but inscribed. Rather than drawing the circle or copying the circles, I'll just draw them right over here again. Polygon, enter the number of sides, 3, enter, center of the polygon, the same. Inscribed now. I enter, click on the command area, right click and select inscribed. Now select the appropriate quadrant. In this case, straight up would match the handout. Enter again, 5, enter. Oh, missed. Enter again, 5, enter, or select the suggested default. Inscribed about the circle and straight up, I believe. Enter again. 6 sides. Hover, O-snap at the center. Inscribed. And okay, either right or left, 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock quadrant. And there you have all of your polygons. One of the exercises we might do requires, looks like I closed one of them, but here, move my face out of the way. Here 18 calls for 3 hexagons for this odd wrench. Again, the asterisk on a exercise number means, hey, check the errata sheet for a hint or a typo. In this case, it's a hint saying, hey, you need the polygon command to do this. I'm going to move those dimensions off the object. Maybe I copied the book, can't remember. Generally, you don't want dimensions on your object if you can avoid it. Anyway, moving right along. Go back to the and any question about polygons? Again, hexagon is probably the most commonly created polygon. A square is just as easy to use direct distance. And if you know the type in command, you can type your way around the circle or around the square. Pentagons are, I don't know, they're popular with fire hydrants. And of course, the pentagon. All right, let's keep on moving here. Next topic is the polar array command. And remind me, I'll likely forget. I'll demonstrate the rectangular checkerboard array. Now, the array creates a new type of AutoCAD object. And sometimes this is good, sometimes it's bad. But I'll demonstrate the good and bad about having an array being a unique high-tech AutoCAD object. I'll get some free space here. Bunch of narrative. Step 1. Why can I never zoom in when I want to? Step 1 is to create this 5/8 bolt with a 1-inch nut on it. Doubt that's standard, but We'll start with the 0.625 or 5/8 diameter round, a circle in the middle. Drop down center diameter, select a point. The diameter, I believe 5/8 still works. It's three characters instead of 4. You can type, AutoCAD will listen to fractions, but don't combine the slash for a fraction along with a decimal point. So, pick one or the other, decimal point or fraction with whole numbers or integers, I guess. Anyway, I'm starting to babble. Next is this hexagon. Note to self, print this out larger on the next handout. We'll draw a second diameter, hover, snap, 1 unit, and use the hexagon, form the hexagon with the polygon command. Click on the polygon icon, answer the question. It's already 6 from the last time we used it. I'll hit enter to concur with the suggested default. Center of the polygon would be center of these 2 circles. We want it circumscribed about the circle. The wrench size is 1 unit, probably an inch. So I'll right click and specify circumscribed about circle. And which one is it again? Okay, looking at the handout, I think I put the points up and down. And we got another incoming. Jonathan is joining. Now, interesting, I don't need to admit to that. It's something to do with the, anyway. I think if you got the passcode you can get in, or an invitation you can get in without me having to admit you. So either way. Anyway, we want to make a flange, very popular in piping. Should have a hole in the middle. I guess this is a dead end flange for whatever reason, a clean out point maybe. We want to put it about a 8 diameter bolt circle within a 10 diameter outer surface circle for the flange. So I'll draw both of those circles, 8 diameter and 10 diameter. We'll draw a line from our initial one straight down, in this case 4, to be half of the 8 diameter for the bolt circle. That'll be the center of the 8 diameter bolt circle and the 10 diameter bolt circle. Later on, we'll get red center lines, but that's coming up, I believe, next week. We get into colors and line types. Where was I? Oh, yes. Diameter, snap. I want it to be 10 diameter. Okay, now let's play with the polar array command, which is var. It's got to fly out with polar and rectangular. Path is a new feature. You can replicate a symbol down a snaky line. Might do that when we get into snaky lines. Let's go polar array. If you simply type array command, you'll be asked for options. Select the polar option of the array command. We'll click on the polar array icon. Command prompt says, hey, select what you want to make a bunch of copies of. Okay, I'll select this bolt with a nut on it and hit enter. Next thing AutoCAD asks is specify the center point of the array. You can type in all sorts of complexities of options. I just simply want to O snap at the end of that line, or O snap at the center, or use a SCEN enter O snap override, but to specify they're all the same point. I'll click for the center of the polar array I want to make. Next step, you got a ton of options. Some of the academic exercise are complicated. You need an angle. You say I want 4 that are spread spread around a 60-degree angle, et cetera, et cetera. We want to select items. The number of items, the default is 360 degrees around the full circle. So select items by clicking on it, typing I enter, or right clicking and select items. Answer the question 6, that's the default. Not sure why, but hit enter. And there we go. We can modify it. I'll set this back again. Say fill angle of say 270 degrees instead of 360. So there you got 60 around 3/4 of a circle. Let's go back to fill angle and put it back where it is most often used, 360 degrees. Hit enter to terminate the polar array process. And we'll lose this guideline we drew. And hit enter. Oh, I want 8. Okay, excellent opportunity to show you the advantage of this being a unique high-tech AutoCAD object. I carelessly put 6 down. The handout clearly shows 8. Check it out. All I got to do is double click on this high-tech AutoCAD object. And all of the options that were in that last command area we looked at are available for revision here. I want to change the number of items from 6 to 8 and hit enter. Again, I can change the fill angle again. The only time you do not rotate items is the only example I can think of is a Ferris wheel where all the hanging seats hang straight down. You want a ceiling fan and virtually anything else you want, the nuts of the points of these nuts to point to the center of the circle. Certainly the ceiling fan, you want them all, the axis of the ceiling fan blade to line up with the center of the circle. So it's extremely rare you change that from yes to no. I'll close the array editing dialog box that came up from double clicking on the array. A lot of AutoCAD objects, well, I shouldn't say a lot. Text dimensions, probably a few others. Double click on them and you can edit them. Let's close it out. Hit escape to deselect and we're looking back the way we were. Now, unfortunately, this is an academic. Hypothetically, say I want to trim away these things. That would be a jury-rigged nut that didn't have the machining to kind of put a dome on the top of the nut. But hypothetically, say we want to trim 1, 2, all of these pieces of the outer circle. Well, the first choice is we can explode this high-tech object, and we'll use the explode command a couple more times during our studies. The explode command is this glass box looking thing with all the sides bursting apart. Used to be a firecracker bent in the middle. I think X enter is the alias. Let me set an undo mark, because I can show you a better way. This is outside of the scope of this class, but I'm going to type undo enter and set a mark so I can step back in time to the mark after doing a dozen steps by using the back option. Now that I've got an undo mark available, let's explode this polar array. Now I got a gazillion lines, arcs, and circles. I significantly increased my file size, because instead of being 8 ink stamps of the same object, I now have 8 literal copies of the object. Much more file intensive. We'll zoom in, launch the trim command, whittle away, whoops, forgot a step. Trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge. Bear with me here, I'll just trim 3 for whatever. Come up here and trim the same 3. Come up here and trim the same 3. You get the idea. Very, I got to repeat trimming for all 8 of these. Wouldn't it be nice if there was just a single one in the array before I exploded? So I just trim a single one and then rearray it. Well, let's go back to where I set the undo mark. Type undo correctly, hit enter. I want to go back. Now we're back to the high-tech AutoCAD object. Check it out. I'll double click on it, change the items from 8 to 1 and hit enter. Now I can close this guy. Now I can explode the 1 item array and hit enter. Come in here, trim, enter. Select 3 or all of them and hit enter when I'm finished. Now check it out. It's unique objects. I'll go to the array command again. Select objects command prompt says. I'll select that and hit enter. Specify center point just like we did before. Center of the circle. Number of items, we want to make 8 and hit enter. Hit enter to finish the procedure. Notice the side with the circle trimmed away rotates as you go around the circle. Probably should have trimmed 3 at the top or 3 at the bottom instead of 3 on a 45-degree angle. Any question about the polar array command?
Yeah, so when I just went back to try to, like, when I went back to the array command to try to change the number of them, it won't select the whole object. It'll just select like the outside circle. Or like the I guess the hexagon. It won't select the whole item.
I'm not sure I followed. Did you say that again, Michael? Did you wanted to select the circle and the hexagon?
So like when you went back and changed the number of items, like you selected the array command and then selected the hex, like the screw cap basically. Mine will just select like the out, like you know how you can double click on it and you can change the number of them.
Right.
When I went to go do that, It
Double
only
click.
will select like the inside line of like the screw cap.
Okay, if you want to make an array of just a piece of this screw cap, explode the entire array and delete everything except explode everything. And then when you build the array, select only the parts you want to array around the circle. If I understand correctly, Mike, let me demonstrate. I got it down to one object. Go back to the Home tab, click Explode. Select my array. Stand by.
That's where I'm having the problem. Like when I go to try to select it to make it just the one object, not the 8, it won't select the whole object. It's just selecting like that inside circle or the outside hexagon, not the whole item.
Still at a loss, Mike. Hopefully a demonstration again we'll see what I'm doing differently than you're doing. But here I got a polar array of a single object. I'll launch with nothing selected, command line says type a command. I'll click explode. I'll select the array, which is only a single item now, and hit enter. Now, okay, the polygon, maybe this is what you're asking about. The polygon is a single object. It's formed by a polyline. I believe that's next week's material as well. Let me show you a polyline. A polyline is a high-tech item. Not as high-tech as a polar array, in my opinion, but check it out. A polyline, at first it looks just like regular lines going all over the place. Hit enter when you're done, but check it out. If I go to move it, I can select any piece of it. It's a single object with an extreme long list of XYZ coordinates for all these points. Hit enter to finish selecting the one object, and I can move it. A polygon is a special shaped polyline. If you want to delete a side of the polygon, explode the polygon, and it'll go to a lower form of life, namely a regular line. Click the explode icon, select the polygon, and for good measure, we'll explode the polyline. Hit enter. Now both of these objects, the polygon and the polyline, have dummied down to simpler forms of life, namely simple lines. Now I can erase individual pieces, enter, of what used to be a polyline specially made in the shape of a 6-sided polygon. And I can move, trim, rotate, select individual pieces of the polyline that we exploded into regular lines, and they behave like regular lines. So after exploding the array and exploding the polygon, we can trim out individual pieces, enter so everything's a cutting edge. I'll trim that away, I'll trim that away. I'll trim this away, hit enter. Now we want to replicate this back into a 8 item polar array. Let me get rid of this junk before I cover it up with one of the 8. Again, we got a circle and an arc and 1, 2, 3 4 lines. We'll launch the polar array icon, select all the items we want for this new incredibly ugly and illogical bolt head. Hit enter. Oh, I forgot to hit my second corner of my regular selection set window. Hit enter to say, hey, I've finished selecting everything that I want to make my polar array with. AutoCAD comes back with a couple of options, but I don't know that I've ever used those options. So let's answer the question. Specify center point of array. Hover, click. Number of items, 8, and hit enter. Hit enter space bar to get out of the polar array process. Now, once again, we got a high-tech AutoCAD object. Even though it's high-tech, it's less, data, kilobyte size, because it's 8 references of a single package built. You with me? Does that question your answer, Mike? Or
Yeah, I think I got it figured out.
okay, give me a call or send me an email. Maybe I can work one-on-one. If hit escape to deselect, we'll move this entire assembly. I can select the circle and the entire array just by selecting any piece of the array. Hit enter and move it or copy it. Just like I'd move or copy a package of lines and circles. Before I forget, let's copy this, whatever they want to call this thing over here. Back when I was doing planning papers for Army deployments, you'll want to have a 50 M1 tanks or 100 Humvees, or you want them all within sight of the pier when you're about to load a ship. So I'd take a 5-acre area of my drawing, and I'd rectangular array these things. So I can show, hey, you got columns and rows, you got all 50 of the M1 tanks or whatever. It's a very, very similar process to the polar array. Drop down and select rectangular array. Select the objects. I'll select these 3 objects. Remember, polygon, polygon, and circle. If I exploded it, it would be 11 objects. I'll select just these 3 and hit enter. Now, by default, it's 4 columns and 3 rows. I might say, hey, I want, 6 columns, enter. Distance between columns, I'll just click with the mouse. You got to have enough area, and generally you put 2 Army vehicles side by side, so you got an open row every other lane. But anyway, starting to babble again. I'll just say, hey, I want this, say 10.04 something, and make it closer to 12. 12 is standard highway lane width. What happened? Why did it put them closer together? Let's undo. Polar array, select everything, hit enter. We want columns. We'll make it 6. Specify the distance between columns. Okay, apparently right now it's 17. I misjudged the size of these things, I think. So based on these things being 17 units wide instead of 8 units wide, like standard cars and trucks are, I'll say I don't know, 30 and hit enter. Number of rows might be, say, 8, enter. Specify the distance between rows. Well, you really want, you know, for the to minimize real estate occupied, we want to reduce the spacing. I think these are 17 apart, if I remember right. So half of that would put them, I'm just going to take a guess here at, say 10. They might overlap. Nope. Purely coincidental that they, actually we need a little bit of room between them, say, so okay, in this case it's getting into a 3-dimensional. I'm not sure what it's getting in. I don't recall this prompt again, but I'll hit enter to finish the polar array process. Now it occurs to me we want, you know, a foot between them so the men can walk between the vehicles. I'll double click on it and say change the row spacing from 10 to say 10 and a half. That added a little bit of space. Close, hit escape to deselect, and we got a little bit of space between the objects. Boss comes back and says, hey, that's, you know, we need more in the same space, reduce the column spacing. All right, double click on it, change the column spacing, say to 25 instead of 30. Still too much. Let's change it down to say 22 and hit enter. Close the dialog. Now, what if you want to erase one here for a command post or a guard tower or a generator and a light station, maybe? Well, break my heart. The only way I can think of doing, you know, erasing a couple here and there for generators or, you know, ice water stations would be to explode this array, same as we did before. Explode, select any piece of it and hit enter. Now we're back to a hexagon, a polygon, and a circle. Let's erase a few. That one, say that one, and say that one. So I'd put in the ice water station, a latrine, a generator, and high mast light or whatever. Unfortunately, we can't go back to where it was with the exception of undo, undo, undo. Each one of these is going to remain a separate item, you know, since we exploded it. We can't go back without undo, undo, undo. Want to take a break? Let's take a, say, a 5-minute break. I got, okay, a little longer than that. Say we'll reconvene at 5:35. Anybody got any question during break of anything we've covered?
have a quick question.
Yay.
When we're drawing those hexagons, do you want us to leave that circle reference inside of it, or do you want us to delete that?
Well, in this case, leave it. In the case of this flange we're doing, bolt heads literally have the circle, have the big circle, the way nuts and cap screws are machined.
Right. Okay. I just I guess it depends on what you're making then, right?
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Just for good measure, as rare as this is, let me form a Ferris wheel. Pretend we're contracting for Busch Gardens here. Say that's a Ferris wheel, use your imagination. We'll drop down to make a polar array, replicate those 1, 2, 3, 4 regular lines, hit enter. Specify the center, hover, click. Now notice they rotate as they go around. I'm going to invoke the rotate items option. I'll right click and invoke the rotate items option and change it from yes to no and hit enter. Ah, I forgot a step, base point. Yeah, the base point option is where they hook. I want the top of these seats to be literally on the circle. I'll concentrate on this guy right here. Right click, invoke the base point command and say, hey, I don't want it. I hope I'm doing this right. So rare that I do this. All right. Okay, oh snap. That's right. By default, it kind of, to some extent, it picks a random point for where it hooks to the circle. So I'll force it to be at the top point, the first point picked instead of the last point pick. Might have been where it was, I forget. While we're here, we'll change the number of items, right click items, and say make it 11. And there's our Ferris wheel. Again, it's very rare you'd ever want to do that. I'm going to step out and grab some ice water. Got 3 minutes. Be right back. Excuse me, Abby. All right, I got 35. Everybody back that wants to be. Since we're talking about polylines, I'll apologize, I should have pointed that out much sooner. If memory serves, I believe, oh, this is not an AutoCAD, it's a PDF. If memory serves, an ellipse is a special case of a polyline as well. Number 55 is one of our tentative homework assignments. After you build one of these arrays, we need to learn the offset command yet. But when you make one of these double arrays with more of what we'll cover tonight, a simple polar array of 3 units about the center would form this little Department of Energy logo or whatever it is. I forget if your book trimmed them all or not. Anyway, I got little use for the ellipse command, but since 2 exercises in your book require the ellipse command, here's the ellipse flyout. I think with one of these is nice for isometric drawings, but I got little use for isometric since 3D's not much more work and is far more useful. Anyway, I'll just demonstrate the first one. Click on the first one, pick a center point, pick an axis, and pick a kind of a sort of a second. Anyway, there's your ellipse. Now, I believe if we explode this, it forms into a polyline with a gazillion vertices on it. Very good, rather high file storage. Let's explode it and find out. Hit enter. Now I select it and it's not any different. Interesting. LI for the list command. Okay, I guess an ellipse is an elementary simple form of life. Maybe I'm thinking of old AutoCAD where an ellipse was a special case of a polyline. So now I'm looking like an ellipse cannot be exploded. All right, let's move on to the next page of today's handout. I wish your book of exercises would have some architecture exercises, maybe an electrical schematic, for some variety. Anyway, let's assume an AutoCAD unit represents an inch. And again, can I zoom in? Learn something every day. Okay, let's let's form this little condo. And this, by the way, this rectangle is supposed to be a 1-car garage. I never figured out how to make an overhead door, so forgive me. Anyway, let's make a condo following these dimensions preferred, or your dream house if you prefer. But if we all follow the handout exactly as is, we can all stay together and be easier to troubleshoot when things go wrong. Again, the AutoCAD unit is assumed to be a foot. Not very realistic for a floor plan. Architects would deal with an AutoCAD unit being an inch. Not sure how much room this is gonna take up. We'll figure it out as we go. So let's use regular lines. And every time we see a new dimension, let's click at that dimension. For example, going across, don't go across 20, go across 10, and then go across another 10. That way we have an endpoint right at each of these change of dimensions. You with me? Don't come down 24, the sum of these three, come down 10, come down 5, so that we got an endpoint at which we can start the interior walls. So we'll click line. I'll start in the upper left corner. Probably be smarter to start in the lower left. Yeah, let's start in the lower left. That way I can start it closer to this junk I got here already. We'll go up, say 8 units. So we got an endpoint. Okay, not as much screen space as I thought. We got an endpoint right there that we can start the 12 unit line for the width of this 1-car garage. Keep going up another 20. Enter space bar, 12 to the right, 4 down, 10 to the right, 10 to the right again, 10 down. I'll just park it there. 5 down, 9 down. 10 across. And C for close, or I should be consistent with right click and select. Launch the line again by hitting enter or space bar. Again, with circle, with these high-tech icons, you can't hit enter and go back to circle diameter again. Anyway, oh no, didn't need to click that. We'll start on that endpoint, come down 16 and hit enter. And fortunately we got okay, we got an O snap there, but the intersection O snap would work if we didn't have a break there. Enter, enter. I'll start here and come down 10. This we're getting something. What our mission is to convert these into double lines for the widths of the wall. 8 intersection O snap. Endpoint at 10, straight up 11. And intersection O snap. Everybody with me that wants to be? I don't know why I got a black line right there. I have to go back to the AutoCAD file and delete that or convert it to a green line. Now the offset command that we're going to cover next makes parallel copies of existing lines. Like say this 10 unit line right here, we'll offset it 0.5 unit inward. I think they all go inward with the exception of the bathroom here. 5 feet is a standard bathtub length. Anyway, at this point, it's easy enough to use the copy command because everything is right, left, up, and down. Let me show you how easy, how to do this simply with the copy command. Select a line, hit enter, pick any point, polar track to the left, and type 0.5 for the wall thickness. Enter, enter, select, enter, any point, 0.5. So as long as your lines are up, down, right, and left, the offset command is not much easier than simply copying with direct distance. I'll undo this in a second. But check it out. If we're off of the polar tracking, you know, I'm not gonna snap on a 45-degree angle or a 0 or 90. I'm gonna snap here at whatever this odd angle is here. Now to place a copy, I'd have to draw a line in space here and snap it perpendicular, and then use the copy command with the intersection here as the base point, snap at the end of that perpendicular line and type the distance I want it to copy. So it copies parallel. A lot of work, a lot of construction line garbage. So again, I'll undo this. We'll get back with the handout. Here's the offset command. I used to use it to make railroad tracks back in the day. Again, double lines for inner and outer wall surfaces. What else? Curb to curb on a highway. Crude piping drawing. Better software for piping than AutoCAD. Anyway, let's launch the offset command. And it seems to me like some of these commands are, different programmer creates different commands. They seem to be a little inconsistent. That might be a flaw in AutoCAD. But anyway, click on the offset command, check it out. It says specify the offset distance. A little bit different than the fillet command. Remember, the fillet command has a radius option to specify the distance or the radius. Offset asks you right away, specify the offset distance. For these double lines for inner and outer, we'll say 0.5 units, in other words, 6 inches, and hit enter. We'll select one of these lines. Now the offset command says, click on the side you want to make the parallel copy. On the side to offset, you only got 2 choices, one side or the other. Doesn't have to be close to the line. It can be, lines go on for infinity, so I'll click inward. Offset command keeps going. We'll select a line and click inward, select a line inward. Okay, following the handout, we'll offset, whoops, not a problem. I'll undo, select it, and carefully snap to move the line inward. I told you. And there. One I keep forgetting is this little 4-inch there. I'll rotate it back where it was. That's a special use of the rotate command. Maybe let me show you the align command. It's probably more useful and does the same thing as the reference option of the rotate command. Okay, let me draw a guideline so we can snap to it. I'll launch the array command, I'm sorry, align command. Very handy in 3D work, by the way. AutoCAD says select the objects. It doesn't tell you, do I select everything, including the line I'm going to align with? No. Select just the stuff you want to move and scale and rotate. In other words, select just the floor plan. Hit enter. Now it's going to ask me the first source point and then the destination point, the second source point and the second destination point. Think of an imaginary line between the source and destination as being a bungee cord. The first one is infinitely strong. In other words, it'll, let me bail out so I can demonstrate that. We'll move the alignment down. The first bungee cord that I'll hook here as the source and here is the destination. That one is infinitely strong, so that point will move to this end point. The bungee cord is infinitely strong. It'll shrink down to 0 length. The second one is weaker, and for 3D work, the third one is weaker. So the second one, I'll pick any one of these endpoints or a midpoint and select this as the destination point. So whichever point on this outer wall here I select will get as close to this endpoint as possible, which will flop it literally on this guideline. Okay, getting back to the align command, we'll select everything. Hit enter. I'll O-snap there and I'll set a bungee cord. I guess I polar tracked when I moved it. We'll O-snap that at that endpoint or the intersection of the polar tracking and the existing line. Now it asks for the second source point and the second destination. As soon as you move, it disappears. Not sure why, but it still works. We'll set there. You can click there, the midpoint, a perpendicular point. You know, pick any old point. It asks for the third point. We don't need it, so let's just hit enter to skip the third bungee cord. Now it says, do you want to scale the objects so that both bungee cords, number 1 and this number 2, are equally infinitely strong? No, we don't want to enlarge this so that that point will literally be here. I think it'll fall about right here, I'm guessing. So I'll answer that. No, I do not want to scale the floor plan. And there it is. Move a hair and it disintegrates that bungee cord that comes and goes, and I'll erase the guideline. Everybody with me that wants to be? Again, if you offset the opposite direction, don't sweat the load. Let me go here to step 3. Okay, we just did step 1 and step 2. Step 3 is to clean up all of these corners. Most of them you can trim. A couple of them you gotta use the fill, 1 or 2, maybe just 1. But, this one right here, we can trim this whisker off, but let's fillet these 2 lines with a 0 radius. Or I guess we could extend this line down to there, or we can grip edit it and you know, grip edit it down. Okay, let's invoke the trim command, hit enter so that everything is a cutting edge and machine gun all over the place. By the way, there is a multi-line command in AutoCAD, but it had some, what the heck happened there? I must have typed 0.6 instead of 0.5. I'll just move it over later if I remember. Where was I? Oh, the multi-line command had some glitches in editing. And people hated it and they didn't bother to promote it or, you know, keep it convenient on a toolbar anymore. But you can have different line types and different line colors, and you know, a dozen different parallel lines, you know, like for a 5-lane interstate maybe, with the M line command. I've never come across it in professional work. Never noticed. Got to clean up this guy. I'll hit enter to finish the trim command, and we'll fill it with the radius. It's probably already 0, but for good measure, I'll specify the radius option. Yep, it's already 0. Just for training's sake, I'll type 0 in case it happened to be something different. And we'll fill it these at a 0 radius. Oh, forgot to trim that guy. Trim, enter. Any more I forgot? So we've completed step 3. If you caught up with me, you know, this won't be a homework assignment, so don't worry if you know, you couldn't keep up with me. I believe the last thing in this lesson, yep, is the stretch command. Why did that highlight? I'll pretend I didn't see that. Here's the YouTube tinyurl.com/ whatever the, you know, there's the YouTube video for, you know, a second opinion or, you know, repetition of the stretch command. Again, don't forget last summer's Zoom recordings. Where are we? Step 4, we're gonna stretch. Remember, this was 20 to begin with. You know, Uncle Ed died, or, you know, somehow some more money came in, and this condo can have more square footage. So the client wants to put the square footage in this multi-purpose room with the kitchen down here, dining and living room there. So we're going to grab all of these rooms and move these rooms to the right 3 units with the stretch command. And the stretch command will not only move these interior walls 3 units to the right, but it'll lengthen what we cross with a typical AutoCAD crossing window or polygon or lasso, I think. You know, this is another concept that students have trouble with. You know, they don't draw the crossing window big enough, or they forget and draw a regular window, or there's a few other ways you can mess it up. But the crossing window has to go through these lines so that these lines will turn into rubber bands to stretch longer or shorter. So where the crossing window, crossing polygon, or crossing lasso, I believe, never tried it, but, you know, where the crossing selection set window goes turns into rubber bands. everything within the crossing window simply moves. You know, it can move to make the rubber bands longer, or the stuff inside can move to make the rubber bands shorter. So let's launch the stretch command. That's in the lower left of the modify panel of the, need to click in AutoCAD, tell the computer which window I'm looking at. Forgot where I was, senior moment. Let's click on the stretch icon. Now, wouldn't you think, since it's so important to use a crossing window, wouldn't you think you can form a crossing window going either direction, right or left? Well, like it or not, the rules still apply. To a crossing window, you have to start on the right. If you start on the left, you get a regular window, which will only move the lines that are totally enclosed. Yeah, I think will be these 3 rooms, including the outer wall of these 3 rooms. So like it or not, you gotta, go out of your way to double check that you're selecting with a crossing window, and everything inside moves, and what's crossed by the crossing window turns into rubber bands. Okay. Click when you got the crossing window, crossing, in closing and crossing what you want. Click. Now you can hold the shift button and deselect stuff if you want to, remove it from the process, but I don't know that happens often. And if you accidentally remove stuff with a crossing window, AutoCAD thinks that crossing window is what you want to stretch with. So it's kind of risky if you modify your selection set, with, after just a simple crossing window. Hit enter when you've got selected the objects here. I got 28 objects found in my crossing window. Hit enter. Pick a point, any point. And just like drawing a line or moving something, point your cursor in the direction you want to stretch, taking advantage of polar tracking, and type the distance you want to stretch. In this case, we want to add 3 feet of width to the dining room and living room. So I'll type 3 and hit enter. Okay, for some reason, I can't think of a useful application, but for some reason, we're going to reduce the size of the garage from 4 to 3. Maybe I put that down just to show you didn't have to make things longer with the stretch command. Click stretch icon, form your crossing window, enclosing what you want to move and crossing what you want to turn into rubber. Hit enter, or no, click with your left mouse. Hit enter to finish defining your selection set. It's waiting for me to select stuff to take out of the selection set. Like maybe I don't want the car to move. Hit enter when you're finished with your selection set. Now again, the same process. I'll pick a point and polar track on or move down a polar tracking line and type 1 enter to reduce the front to back dimension of this 1-car garage. Hardly shows. What else? This dimension was 9. The client's got enough money to make it 14. That's a difference of 5. So we'll stretch the bottom here down 5. Stretch. crossing window, enter or space bar, pick a point, any point, move down a polar tracking and type what I say, 5, enter. How do I zoom back out? Okay, I used to have an exercise on here where you'd create a bay window, but took it out for some reason. Everybody caught up with me that wants to be? Now, keep in mind, if you deviate from a polar tracking angle, you can make your floor plan look incredibly ugly. Or if your crossing window isn't the right size, you can make it incredibly ugly. I'll hit escape to bail out. And a little bit of trivia, if you got a circle, whether the center point of that circle is within the crossing window determines whether the circle will move or circle will remain stationary. I don't believe it'll have any effect. It'll change the size or shape. Let's find out. Here it's the center is not in, so I think it'll have 0 effect. Okay, we'll try it again with the center in within the crossing window, enter, and it'll move. A little more than you need to know. Where are we? About 7 after 6. Maybe put this into high gear. Next step is to use the stretch command to make different size windows, different size tables, different size chairs. We'll use the offset command to form the bathtub and fillet the inner shape of the bathtub. We'll make a 45 degrees door. Let me zoom in a bit. You know, the door, some students always ask me to explain this door. But for the sake of time, let's make the windows and place a few, and make a door and place a few. Notice the handout's got the doors, the hinge on one side to swing one way, the hinge on another swing the different way. There's 8 different ways you can, I think 8, lots of different ways you can rotate and mirror this thing, depending on where the hinge is and which way the swing is. Getting back to the windows, we'll start with a half a unit wide for the width of the wall. Maybe a bathroom window, just 2 feet wide. I'll click line. I'll make all the symbols out here and mirror and rotate them, and then copy and then stretch them, and then copy them into the wall, into the floor plan. I'll start with straight down 0.5, say. Zoom in, snap at the midpoint. Start first window's 2 units long. I can might as well mirror this line. enter. There we go. Let's make a couple more copies of it. We'll stretch the first copy 1 unit to change it from 2 to 3. Stretch. I don't know why I slide off. Enter. 1, enter. Stretch again or hit enter. Crossing window again, hit enter. Point the direction we want, and this one goes from 2 to 5. That would be a 3 unit stretch. Now, unlike the door swing or the chairs, there's no, in or out of these symbols. They're either vertical in the wall or horizontal in the wall. So let's make a set of mirror copies about a 45-degree line. And every mirror we want to place in the wall is one of these 6. Following the handout. And okay, the bathroom's got the 2. Most are the 3, and there's looks like 2 that are the 5 unit. This would be a good time to use the near O snap. This isn't very precise, but when we place this thing, I might want to put the window roughly in the middle of the wall, but not precisely. We could make it precise with secondary line that doesn't print out maybe. Grab it at the midpoint of that line and O snap it at the midpoint of this line. But let's just kind of eyeball it using the near O snap to place our copies. Or better yet, we'll grab it at the end point and use the near to place it. I think we can change our 5 favorites to end and near without regrets. Don't remember if I've ever done this before. Much like we did for the tangent to tangent procedure. I'm hoping I can grab a window by its endpoint. And I'm hoping I can snap that window to a piece of ink on the inner or outer wall. Let's see. Copy. Select all 3 objects. Enter. Good. I got it with the endpoint. And I want to O snap it with a near point. If I get close enough, it'll go perfect to the end point, and then I can move it, half the length of the wall. But let's just eyeball it for now. Copy the 3 unit. We got 3 and no more, no less. I think there's a ton of these 3 unit lines. Okay, I guess I'm stuck with that. I can't see my own handout. Let's see. Well, I've broken the copy command, not a problem. Okay, I've got these 2 windows in an assembly, so I'll copy these 2 windows and place both on the side of the garage. copy, copy, select them both with a regular window that selects everything that's totally enclosed, and hit enter. O snap on a piece of the corner of the window and put the dual windows in the one car garage. And I'd rather not put a window on top of a window, so I'll maybe copy that later. Copy. Let's put a enter. One of the 5-foot windows goes in the front of the house. Leave room for the door up against the garage. I believe there's another one in the kitchen area. 6:15. Let's move on to the to making the doors. Now, what we want to end up with is the green lines here and the 2.5 unit lines at the hinge and at the latch. The circle is just there to later be trimmed away. And this horizontal line is just there to be rotated at a negative 45 degrees. Remember, negative to go clockwise. Since we got 45 degrees set for in polar tracking, we can just polar track in the 45-degree line. Let's start with a, there we go, 2.5 unit radius. Drop down, select center radius, pick a point, and polar track. Got off the polar tracking line. There we go. 2.5, enter. We'll draw a line that's the door that will later, hello, I could use my 5 favorite O snaps now, but I've forgotten just have endpoint and near on. So we'll clear all and select the 5 again. Double check I got nearest and tangent turned off. Click OK. Double check I got it still turned on. Go to line, hover, O snap in the center, O snap in the quadrant. Draw a 0.5 unit line at each end of this door. 0.5, enter. Should I mirror it, copy it, redraw it? Whichever happened to come across mirror first, enter. There. Let's rotate the door about this point, negative 45 degrees, then trim the circle away. And we'll be done with this door symbol. There's a way we could turn these into rubber stamps for economy and productivity. But I think that's in intermediate class. Where were we? Rotate, select the door, hit enter, click the base point about which we want it to rotate, polar track in the negative 45 degree direction. Trim, enter so everything's a cutting edge, and blip away what we want. Can't quite tell it, but there's a line here tangent to the door swing. Now there's, earlier I said 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think there's 8 of these, 8 different shapes. So let's make a mirror copy. Let's make double mirror copies and mirror everything at a 45 degree line. And I believe all the doors in our floor plan are one of these different 8 types. Going over to our room again. Okay, we'll start here at the back door. That would be this guy. Click copy. Select, hit enter, O snap at one at the hinge or the outer wall. Rats, I could use that near O snap again. Not a problem. I'll place it there and move it into the right position. Trying to get close to the handout, about right there. I'll reset my O snaps again. Cleared Burgener's 5 favorite. And turn on endpoint near again. Click OK. Double check it's turned on yet. Copy. Let's do the front door. That would be this guy. Enter. I'll O snap at the outer door, outer wall surface. Kind of eyeball it. Running out of time here. I'll trim these guys and let's call it good enough. Trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge. And trim, trim. By the way, I believe next week we'll learn polylines. We'll convert these lines into polylines. So instead of being separate lines, it'll be a continuous line all the way around the outside with the exception of the doors. And we can adjust the width of these with the polyline width option, different than line weight that we'll also get into next week. Anyway, what I'm saying is if you save this in your AutoCAD entry folder, I don't know that you need a folder for each week like I do. If you save it, you can reuse it when we convert these regular lines into polylines. I'll have another starter file out of, with a handout for this assignment, if you'd prefer to use it instead of your own. Everything else is repetition. Start with an end table, stretch it into a kitchen table, and stretch one or the other into a dining room table. Same thing with the chairs. Use the offset command with a offset distance of 0.2. Draw a 5 by 2.5 rectangle with the, I guess you could use the rectangle command, but at this point I'd expect you to use the regular line. Offset all 4 lines in 0.5 and then fillet each corner in a radius of 1/3 of a unit or 4 inches. All right, 625. I took out 67. Which one of these do I dare assign 4 again? Or did we have 5 yesterday that I think was a bit much to ask of you? Let's pick 4 and time permitting, I'll do 2 yet in class. That sound like a plan?
Yes.
And I'm assuming and hoping y'all got the copy of the textbook by now. But if you
Yeah.
email me individually, tomorrow I'll send you the PDF. And my PDF already incorporates the glitch that's on the typo sheet. I guess these two on the typo sheet simply say needs to use the ellipse command. I forget what this one says. Let's see. Here's three more. It looks like I don't have them all on display, do I? Nope. Okay. All right, which of these? Guess we'll close the handout.
Can you do the ones with the typos?
All right. How about 18? I think, okay, that's not a typo. The hint is it simply needs the Polygon command. How about we'll assign and I'll do 30 for you. I forget what the typo is, but whatever it is, I'm sure my handout here covers it. What's another one I should assign and possibly do?
Did you have 55? Yeah, 55.
Uh,
Or you're not signing that one?
if you want to do it, I'll assign it. It's a little bit tricky. After making one of these spheres, offset it out a hair, and I don't believe that's dimensioned. Let me zoom in a bit. Probably should be dimensioned. But zoom, there we are. Zoom to 150. Yeah, I don't know why that's a green line there. Should be magenta, but you notice there's a slight gap. Just offset the circle outward, whatever you think that gap would be, and then trim away the outer circle. So make the outer ellipse, offset it in, place the cue ball 70 degrees. I guess you got to start with this vertical one. Put the cue ball there, offset it and trim away to get the gaps. And select circle, 2 arcs, and 2 ellipses to make a 3-item polar array. Should I assign it?
Negative.
Okay. What's another one? 29 is kind of fun. How's that top?
I was gonna say, are you, what, 40, do we have to put the shadow in it?
No. I think
Oh.
that's right now, that's the first thing in intermediate class as we're scheduled.
Mhm.
I just noticed that might be a glitch there. Now I can zoom in by holding control. It looks a little fatter here than it does everywhere else.
Mhm.
I'll have to double check. I won't ping you for that. Let's do 30 or 40.
Okay.
2 more.
All right. 54, 30, 40. No.
Okay, we got 30 and 40. How about 63? And that's got a typo. I forget what it is. Let's do 63 if there's no objection. And what's the last one to do?
You 18.
All right, we'll do 18. Now, which we got 30 minutes. I can't promise, but I hope to do 2 of them. Which 2 should I do?
Forty has the tangent lines.
It's got a lot of fillets. Offhand, I don't see a need for tangent.
Okay.
Now, one student asked, "Hey, when I fillet between this arc and this line," wait a minute, how was that? Keep in mind when you fillet, it automatically truncates the garbage. I think it's right here. When you go to fillet this, you got a vertical. You'll probably have a vertical line and a horizontal line. When you do the fillet, now I'm thinking I was in error. I thought it, by truncating, you have to redraw pieces. But the more I look at it, I think I was in error when I advised a student on that. I'll do 30 and 40. No. Yeah, 30. And this pipe flange or this Y exhaust fitting, whatever it is. Start with 40.
Yes.
All right, that is a challenge. I'll buy some time, 260. That's going to take up a lot of real estate. Not a problem. I'll start at the bottom. I'll start with a 150 unit line. Better yet, I'll make half of, I'll try concentrate on just 1/2, so I'll just mirror it over. So I'll draw these lines exactly half of what they are. Line 75, enter. All right, this short one here is up 10. So I'll offset the 30. Better yet, let me go ahead and I'll come up. This is not using the offset command, but that's okay. I'll come up 10 and come across. Why did I see the near? Okay, once I finish this, I got to reset my O snaps again. This would be 28 for half of 56. And I want to continue. Nope, my bad. I'll undo. Okay, half of 36 is 18. And then I want to go to 20, half of 28. Oh, the math is too complicated for me. I'll start another line and draw it 28. We got a line there. Why did it not? So there we go. We got a short line and we got a long line. All right, we'll, from the end of the long line, we'll come straight down. Up, see, now that there, the near O snap bit me. See why I keep whipping on you to stick with the 5 favorites? Let's erase that and go back to end, mid, center, quadrant, intersection, turn off nearest. No more, no less. Click in blank space, draw a line straight down. We'll draw an excessively long line from the end of our 30, half a 36 line, making sure it's plenty long. Again, my technique is draw long and trim back. Now let's see, 15 up. We'll make it excessively long. This wall is 10 units with the possible exception of that, which I'll check out before the next class. Offset this guy 10 units to the right. Offset, the distance we want to offset is 10, hit enter. Select the object I want to offset and click on the side I want to offset to. And all 4 of these arcs here, this is where the typo is in your book. Your book has this at a much higher, much higher radius. And it says, I think 6 radii or 25 units. I only see 4 that size. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, where was I? Let's fillet it by 25. I don't think I'm going to get to do both of them. Right click, change the radius to 25, hit enter, click, click. All right, I think we got to start work from the top down now. Let's go to the top 260, enter. I wonder why the dimension, the center to center, is not on here. Let me check the textbook. I've used this, or this has been in the works for at least a year. Did I forget a dimension? No, I did not. Okay, I think I'll have to draw the center line and before I can place the flanges at the top. Where were we? I'll start making a flange at the top, move it later. This is 1, 3, 6. Down hubbity hubbity 15. Back in. And from the midpoint of this, I want to go 72 and then later 66. Interesting. I wonder how I got to, to the nearest 100th dimension there. I forgot where I was. Damn it. Forgot my train of thought. Let's see, RE to regen. Okay, no, I'm sorry. That's the 130. Did I show you properties before? You can see how long a line is by selecting it, right click. And it is 100, length 136. So that this line is that top line. Okay, starting at the middle, I'll draw a 66 unit line. Or better yet, I'll draw a 66 unit line and snap it to the midpoint. Move it, enter. Select, enter. And we'll draw some lines straight down. The depth of this guy is 10. And it's, did I make this 66? All right, I need to move that 66 down to there. I'll finish a line. There to there. I'll trim away this middle piece. Enter. And what the heck, I'll mirror these two lines. Okay, I think I got careless. 72.95. Again, it's, I don't know how it got to be not a round 72.94. Enter. I'll O snap it, or I'll move it perfectly centered. Okay. I think I should have had, nope. Let me start down at this point. Show you in a second why, and then move it out to the outer diameter. Trim, enter. Okay, and it goes the straight line from the top here down 34 inches. Damn it. Line down 34 and across. trim away. Erase my guidelines before I get confused. Now the offset between there and the outer is 10, so I'll copy your offset. Okay, offset was last 10, so I'll take advantage of it. I think I'm on my way to mirroring it down. Let me TR for trim or click the icon. What is that? Okay, I'll draw a line and trim. And erase all of this. That is 68. It should be 100, half of 136, which would be 68. Right? Why do I have a little width? Oh, okay, that's a separate line. Trim, enter, click. I need to trim that guy away. Enter, click. Need to erase that guy away. Oh, probably should have left it. I'll copy these two lines. Not good practice having lines. Copy it straight up. I'll mirror this guy. And we want a straight line from the top surface here straight down that 34. Now I'll draw a circle whose radius is R100 and move it so the quadrant lines up with the center of this flange. And then move the whole assembly so the bottom quadrant of the circle lines up with the center line of this, whatever it is. Right? Okay. Center radius 100. Move the circle so its quadrant is right there. And I'll move the entire assembly so the bottom quadrant is straight across to this vertical line. I don't want to go to the intersection. I want to go, you know, I don't want to go to that intersection because that's not straight to the left. I want to go to that intersection, which is on the polar tracking line. It looks like I clicked copy instead of move, didn't I? Let me undo. Move select everything, enter. Okay, something went wrong. Move, select everything, enter. Base point would be quadrant. Second point would be straight across to that intersection. I'll trim garbage away before I get further confused. Okay, I'll offset this center line, which I don't expect you to deliver because we don't know how to draw color and broken line types yet. I'll offset that, the distance between those two. So offset, it's asking me for distance. I want the offset distance to be those between those 2 points. Select object and O snap. And I believe it can go the other direction. I'll offset this outer wall this distance to make the inner. Offset, click straight over to the intersection, select it, and offset that guy. I'll fillet this line to this arc. And that would be one of the R25s. I added this little red just a few hours ago. Where was I? Fillet, right click. Okay, I'm still in the offset command. Fillet, radius 25. Click and click. Now I believe the inner one should be 25 plus 10, though it looks like I made it 12-ish. So let's go offset. What I say? 25 and 10 is 35. Enter. How did I get in the hatch command? Good grief. Offset 35, enter. Select the arc. Hello. Yeah, it's 25 radius. I'm sorry, I just need to offset at 10. I don't know why I was thinking I needed to add something to it. Offset set to 10, 35, set it in. This is a rare use of the grips command. Get back to command prompt, select the line and grip edit it. Extend, I think, would work. I'll trim this guy away. Getting there. Before I mirror this dude, I need to get the bolt holes up here. Let's see, I'll draw a circle. This is another way of getting construction lines. Let me go circle diameter. From there, 102 for the inner surface. And yep, see, I hit enter to invoke the last used command, but need to go to the icon again. And the outer surface of those holes is 122, enter. Zoom in, oh snap, intersection straight down, enter, straight down. I can lose these two and mirror that across. I won't hold you to the red center lines till you learn how to do them. I think I can ready, if I mirror it, oh, forgot down here yet. That would be 110 and 130 diameter. Same thing. Center diameter 110 and center diameter again 130. I'll draw vertical lines from the quadrants. I'll erase these. Trim between the center line and there. Actually, I might as well erase them because I don't expect you to do that. Yeah, let me erase it. Since I'm not asking for any of the center lines. And we will mirror, and I got 3 minutes. And I believe I am done. All right, probably might keep you overtime. What, did we select another one, another challenge for me? Oh, got a little garbage there, I forgot. Why did it not erase? Is there multiple copies? Okay.
I think you said 30.
All right, 30 would be,
And Paul, the height of that piece, is that still 260?
I will check. A couple different ways to check height. I could dimension it, but then the text would be so small. This line goes the height, and it is 341. Where did I go wrong? Oh, I'll bet you there we got to stretch this guy. Thank you. Who was that? Mike? Ben?
Adam.
Adam, thank you. I'll draw a guideline from here that is what'd we say? 260. And I'll draw a guideline from quadrant straight across, and I will use today's stretch command. Select everything I want to move to be within and what I want to turn to rubber crossed. Enter, and I'll move it from there to the intersection of this polar tracking line and an existing line. Double check. There's the 260. Erase the guidelines. All right, 30. Maybe I'll just draw a skeleton of it, let you, rather than hold you over time. Okay, 30. This one, that could do the whole thing. Get a better view here. Zoom in. Head good luck with 150. Hand down. Let's see. There. Let's start this big circle here. That is a diameter of a radius of 25 and the radius of 18. I must have copied that out of the textbook because that really should be dimensioned by diameter. And by the way, this is a sloppy way to dimension depth of a keyway. It should go from the, the bottom of the machining straight across to the bottom of the shaft hole. But they don't ask me these things. Where was I? Center radius, click 25, enter. Enter again, since the default of the circle command is center radius with 18. Draw a guideline. By the way, I could draw the circles here and move them to the right, the 100, rather than drawing the guidelines. 100, enter. Let's see, these are diameter 12 and radius of 12. So I'll start with radius of 12. And I could copy on itself and scale it by 2, but let's stick with the program here, 12. And I need tangent to tangents. Then I'll offset the tangent to tangents. And then I'll trim and fill it. Easier done than said. We'll go back to, looks like tangent to tangent. No need for endpoint, though I don't believe it'll hurt. Just tangent. Line. Tangent to tangent. I could mirror this across, but rather than look for the mirroring icon, I'll proceed. Offset 8 units. Offset, change the setting to 8, not 87. Click, 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 click. I'll fillet these to a radius of 7. Right click, radius 7, enter, click, click. Clean up garbage. Let's do the keyway before we start cleaning up garbage. Oh, get back to Burgener's 5 favorite again. If you use those snap overrides, you don't have to go back and forth like this. I'm thinking this will be easier to remember. Where was I? Let's see, we want to, okay, it looks like if this is 135, then this is 45, right? 135 and 45 is 180. So we'll draw a line from the center and simply polar track it excessively long. The top of the keyway is, okay, not a problem. We'll offset this guy half the width of the keyway. So offset, set it to 5, hit enter, click, click. We want that point right there as the bottom of the keyway, and go straight up 5 units. 5, enter. Fortunately, we're on 45, so intersection will work. If it was 48 and 3/7, then I'd have to go to perpendicular. I will mirror this guy about this 45-degree line. I will mirror or copy this line about the center line of the keyway. And all that's left is trim and garbage. Trim, enter, click, 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 click. everything else is erase. Oh, no, not that guy yet. Let's see, erase. If I were the engineer, I'd say, hey, that's going to be where it breaks. All right, I'm keeping you 5 minutes, 6 minutes by the computer. Any last questions, comments, complaints, anything?
You said you were giving us 4. What were the other 2 homework?
Let's see. The 4 are 30, 40, 63, and 18. Which ones did I do for you? 40 and 30. Yeah, the other 2 are 63 and 18. Again, 30 and 40 that I watch the recording. And you're on your own for 63 and 18. There's 18. Lots of circles, fillets, and polygons. And what was the other one? 63. Okay, this is a simple use of the array command after you built one tooth. Looks like draw a couple of radii. Draw a line from that intersection straight down to there. Another radii up there and draw straight across it. Connect the dots. Call me if you get stuck. I want to, if I give one advice, I feel I need to share it with everybody. Oh, there's an angle. Okay. I hope this isn't another case where you can't satisfy both the angle and the linear dimensions. We'll see. Now, please tell me I kept the recording going. Yep. Any last words? Again, don't forget the errata sheet. Don't forget the YouTube videos. I'll have the recording. I'll tell you where it will be yet tonight if it's still taking time to get there. See you next week. We gone. Bye-bye.